Good morning and welcome, Martin. Welcome to our ONERECAP. Can you please introduce yourself?
Of course. So thanks for having me. My name is Martin Zugec. I'm senior architect. I'm working for the technical marketing team. And two big projects that I own. It's Citrix Optimizer and Citrix TechZone. I'm member of the technical marketing team. So big part of my job is conferences, speaking at webinars. And it's kind of my personal mission that I always like to be involved with communities. So I'm a huge supporter of the user groups and like talking to people, talking to customers. That's like the thing that I love about my job.
So basically, people who don't know you, they really live under a rock because you are everywhere on the socials.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying as much as I can.
So, of course, everything is about Citrix Converge. So what are your thoughts of the event so far?
So if you've been watching me on social media for, I don't know, the last 2 months, I'm a huge supporter of Converge. It's something that I think have been missing. And the way how it was done this year by the whole Citrix Converge team, I absolutely love it. The energy, all the people that got together to get involved. I'm pretty much trying every day to watch at least 2 or 3 sessions. And I have to say, like, this is my Citrix conference of this whole year. So huge supporter, love the idea, but also love the execution. And I definitely hope this was the first virtual Converge, but the next one is going to be even bigger than this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you explain a little bit, because Citrix Converge is really aiming for developers, but there's enough content also for IT pros. So can you explain a little bit the value for IT pros for Citrix Converge?
Oh, yes. So you are from the Netherlands, and for me, I used to work for the Dutch company before. Netherlands was always the best example where you could see like a highly automated and customized Citrix environments. With all the partners companies, that was pretty much like the best place in the world where you could see how IT pros can slowly transition into DevOps. So I've been always a huge supporter of automation, especially in Citrix environments. And I believe conference like Converge, there is a lot of value for Citrix administrators to learn about how they can automate their environment, how they can scale it, how they can quickly and rapidly build it. I would say whoever invested into automation before 2020, the whole pandemic must have been much easier for companies like this that could easily grow than for companies that were saying we don't need automation, and beginning of this year they were struggling to keep up. So again, many years ago, I very much believed there is a place between administrator and full-time developer, pretty much what we call DevOps, I would say today. And that was actually what I've been doing since 2005, 2006. So I would say big part of my life has always been development and automation. So I'm really glad to see like all these sessions today. And I actually hope in the future Converge will even more expand. So for example, what I can imagine would be interesting for everyone, learn about, let's talk about the CVET. If we could have sessions that are going to do deep dives of certain aspects, publishing, for example, or how you do machine maintenance, for example. I believe those are the sessions that every single CVET customer could benefit from.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, and we already interviewed James Rankin, and he is a very good example how to apply DevOps, also from an IT pro perspective, of course. So yeah, I fully agree, and the world is changing towards DevOps. So it's time to change, people.
Oh yeah,
let's change together. Talking about the sessions at Converge, Martin, is there anything you would recommend for our viewers to watch? Are there one or two, maybe three, you say, well, that's a really cool session if you want to start the automation, or if you're...
Yeah, so, okay, I have to admit, I haven't seen all the sessions yet.
Me neither.
So, yeah, and
Yeah.
I have a couple of sessions on my list today and like for the rest of the week. And I'm pretty sure any recommendation that I make now, the next session that I will watch will be like, that's the best session so far. But two sessions that I really enjoyed. First one was actually the Python versus PowerShell. I think in 2020, everyone is tired of these virtual events, non-stop invitations to webinars. So I really like the idea of having shorter sessions that are more interesting and like keeping everyone engaged. That for me, I have to admit, my original plan is I will start watching it. I will watch it for a few minutes, then I will go back to another project that I was working for. And then I realized, like, hey, the session is over. Was it 5 minutes long, or did it feel like very quick session? So that was my favorite session. I also really like the session from the Ryan Butler about Ansible. Another example for me, Converge. I have on my to-do list or study list like a bunch of technologies for a very long time, and I was always, I need to look into this, never have time. Now when I see like short sessions where someone is introducing this to people with Citrix background, saying like, we have this technology, you already know Citrix, and this is how we can combine these two together. That is perfect for me to really, really quickly understand what it is and what it does. Yeah. But again, still a lot of sessions that I want to see. But these two for me so far was like the really, really good highlights. The first one was really engaging. The second one, in like 25 minutes, I learned everything I wanted to learn about Ansible, which is really perfect. I could never do that on my own. I could never just like open the documentation and go to it. So that was really cool.
Okay, cool. So 2 good tips. And for the people that don't know and that have been living under a rock, as Ryan says, one of your all-time favorite pastimes is the Citrix Optimizer tool. For the few people that haven't seen your session yet, can you explain in short, what is it?
So my session, okay, I will start by saying most people know Optimizer as easy to use tool that you download, click on one button, some magic will happen, and suddenly everything is faster, okay? That is what our user experience designers were trying to achieve, and they've done an amazing job. What we were trying to do is build Optimizer in a way that is much more powerful than it looks like, and it's much, anyone can take it and customize it to whatever they want. So we have built-in functionality, template optimizer. We have a lot of, I would call it expert functionality, conditional processing filters. And my session is pretty much, how can you take Optimizer and use it for your own needs? So if you are going to watch my session, I'm actually not building anything for optimizations. I'm using Optimizer to download the chocolatey applications. Yep. So on a purpose, I wanted to do something completely different than what most people do, just to show all the capabilities. And also when I started working on the session, I realized here is the list of like advanced features that I would like to show. And then I realized a lot of them, we don't really have it documented that well. So I've wrote 2, I don't know, it's like 10 pages blog posts where I'm going to all this advanced functionality that was built in, but we never really talked about what are the use cases and how you can use it. So I wanted to make sure that it's not only the session itself, but if you want to read more, we also have some articles and everything else.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, cool.
So I have to admit, I'm one of those users that downloaded and just had analyze and optimize. But it was for me, it was really new insights in the complexity of the tool that's behind it.
Oh yeah.
So talking about, can you share maybe some insights of the usage of Citrix Optimizer? Because we know it's really popular, but are there any numbers out there?
So let me think. Okay, so Citrix Optimizer is the second most popular tool from Citrix, and it has been staying as most popular tool pretty much ever since the release.
Wow.
So that is kind of to give you an idea how common and popular it is. I keep collecting all the feedback that I can get, social media, articles. I actually already have some sessions from Converge where Optimizer was used as an example. Again, Ryan Butler, like what he was deploying was VDA and Optimizer, so that makes me really happy. What I would like to see happening with Optimizer in 2021, and maybe my session will help to promote this use, is a lot more use cases like best practices analyzer or configuration tool instead of just optimizing the image. So I would like to see usage of these non-standard templates becoming much more common than it is today. I have my own plans to develop and release some of these templates. So again, hope this session will help others to start building and using this as well.
Cool. Yeah, because you can also use it not just for optimizing your 3DI, but you can also use it for optimizing, for example, AppV for those that are using AppV, or even creating packages in AppV.
Yeah, I can actually give you one example. I was doing a lot of work with app protection policies this year, and I was talking to the customer where they had some problems and they couldn't tell me if it was installed or not. Instead of giving them like a list of instructions, I created the template for Optimizer for them, asked them to run it, and just send me the HTML where I could see if it's installed and working properly or not. It's maybe because I'm so used to the tool, but I realized for me, few clicks, send the template, and just ask them to run it in UI was much, much, much faster than writing like 2 pages of instructions how to do it from command line.
Yeah. Can you tell a little bit about the support from Citrix? Because I think the Citrix Optimizer is fully supported, right?
So that's always kind of a tricky question. Citrix Optimizer as a tool is fully supported by me and the team behind the UI. So any issues with the tool itself, the PowerShell engine, the modules, we try to work with whoever is reporting and try to fix it as soon as possible. There is second thing, which is support for the optimizations that are being deployed by Optimizer. And what we are doing is that all of it, everything that we have is based on official recommendations from Microsoft. So if you run into scenario that, for example, one of the services will break something that we are doing, there is always underlying Microsoft article where they are recommending disable this to get better performance. In some cases, and that's, for example, happened a couple of months ago, when we find out there are some compatibility issues caused by this, we will first fix our own templates to remove it and work with Microsoft to let them know in one of your white papers, you are recommending this, but we know that it has compatibility problems with a couple of different software. Okay. Even if we decide that, for example, your problem is very niche, so we will not change the templates, we will at least update the documentation. So in template itself, we will add a note saying there are no problems with this application. I can give you one example. I was working with customer in Japan, and they found out that the DVD writers are not going to work with optimizers because they are using USB redirection. We decided it's such a niche use case that we are not going to update templates for everyone, but we made sure that in the template itself, there is a note saying, if you disable this, the DVD writer functionality is not going to be available.
Okay,
cool.
Does that help?
Yeah,
a lot. It does.
Yeah. So talking about the optimizer a little bit more, you deploy a lot of the templates or a lot of the software using Chocolatey. We from RawWorks, we are building our own Chocolatey packages, so you can create Chocolatey packages easily because we as you all we understand the growing support for chocolatey, but do you see any other alternatives that could be in the foreseeable future be added or could be useful to chocolatey?
Now, yeah, that's a really good question. Have you ever worked with I'm trying to remember what was the name. One packager, I think.
I don't know that one.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
So in PowerShell, maybe I butchered the name because it's been a while. In PowerShell, there is a concept of the packager for packagers. And the idea is that you are having the module, you just ask it, install this package. That module is able to reach out to different packagers and find the best match, and it knows how to use it. So Chocolatey is one of the, let's call it, sub-providers that are supported by PowerShell. And I loved the concept, but as far as I know, the development stopped like 2 or 3 years ago. So at this moment, I'm waiting for Microsoft to kind of decide, is this going to be mainstream technology or are we going to replace it with something else? If I see more development, I will actually switch to this meta packager instead of using Chocolatey, because again, I could use Chocolatey as one of the sub-providers for this one. Yeah, it sounds complicated. Hopefully I made a little bit of sense.
No problem.
For me,
I think I can follow.
For me, it does.
Oh, good.
So, talking about features and functionalities, and what is the craziest thing you have seen in the field has been added in the optimizer?
In the optimizer, I haven't seen a lot of crazy things, I have to admit. And the reason probably is that the templates that we have on the marketplace today, the public marketplace, not the one created by Citrix, they are all created by experts from the field. The most, I would mention Dennis Span. He created a template for the storefront configuration, which is really awesome because, again, that's another use case completely unrelated to optimizations, how you can use Optimizer. And I was working with him and trying to help him with the sample code for the PowerShell and how to handle rollback. So if you want to see template that is doing something unusual and a little bit crazy, I would recommend the storefront configuration from Dennis.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
And if you think you can create some crazy templates, more than happy to see it.
It's a challenge for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe one that will set an espresso once it's done optimizing.
Or during optimizing.
Or grab a beer. From the fridge.
That's always.
Oh, I would love that one. That sounds
okay.
fun.
Let's put it on the list. And another question: What's one of the next step for the Citrix Optimizer tool? Do you have any ideas what to put in next, or what to take?
Besides the one you already mentioned.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the tricky question because. Okay, so you probably noticed that the last installation of the VDA doesn't include the target OS optimizer. Instead, when you are installing VDA, you can see at the end recommendation, use Citrix Optimizer instead. Now, what we are trying to do is with Optimizer, we want to make sure that if more people start using it as part of VDA installation, there are some scenarios that we would like to make easier to understand for people that are new to Optimizer. So one example that I can talk about, and we don't have it yet, so it's just something that we are trying to build, is what if Microsoft releases new build of Windows 10 today, which happened, what is it, last week actually, and you don't have the latest template, but that template is available only on the marketplace. So you are running maybe the latest version of Optimizer, but there are some better templates available for your current build that you have. So what we are trying to build is that in this scenario, there will be special notification when you start Optimizer telling you, you do have the latest Optimizer, but the operating system build that you have is so new that it doesn't have template yet. but if you click on this button, we can download the template for you automatically. Today, we have most of this functionality, template marketplace and everything, but we don't have this. This is missing link where we find there is better matching template for your current build than you have locally installed. Yeah. So that's a really good example, in my opinion, because we don't want to be tied up with the Microsoft release cycle. We don't want with Optimizer to be tied up to the Citrix release cycle for the big CVED releases. So we really need to build something that is flexible and can quickly adapt to new Citrix build, new Microsoft build. And again, we want to make sure that for the end users, they will always know there is better template that I can use, or there is newer template available. So the user experience should be really seamless, ideally. And we are working really hard on making sure these kind of scenarios are supported.
Yeah, I think this is really valuable. Also, looking from a Go EUC perspective, where we're testing always the latest build, often the official yet. Still interesting to see what the impact is of a potential beta template on that specific build. So, yeah, I would like that to have it integrated in Optimizer.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
So talking about the idea, because I had one. What about native integration in Azure DevOps as a marketplace plugin? Because you see a lot of organizations are moving towards DevOps in pipeline deployments.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's interesting also to have a Citrix Optimizer option on the site integrating in a pipeline.
Okay, so what are the chances that you are seeing the monitor that I have here on the left side? Because that's where I have the notes from. As I said, I was listening about before. That's the integrate the optimizer into DevOps in Azure.
Perfect.
So yeah, I love the idea, and I already started like thinking about what would be the best approach. Definitely
Cool.
a good one.
Cool. So another thing we also noticed on the Slack channel, you mentioned a message. You included Dune in your message, and what's the story behind it?
Well, it's very. So I'm a big gamer. I don't know. Like I got my first computer in 1985, and I was always big gamer. And Dune for me influence. Believe it, you go in the Eastern Bloc. So a lot of my English is actually coming from these early games, like a Dune. So if you would talk to me in like 1995, you would find a lot of sentences that I'm using are really weird because I got them, for example, from the Dune 2 dialogues. So for me, Dune 2 was like Star Wars, Dune. I love science fiction, and that's actually how I was to learn English back in the days. So that game is very close to my heart, and it left like such a big impression on my life. So when I saw the mentor, that was immediately like the first association I got.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
Last question, because we don't want the interviews to be too long. That already failed, but okay. Any last thing you'd like to share with our viewers? Any thoughts? Any ideas?
Yes. So if you haven't seen all the Converge videos, just watch them. If you don't have time to watch all of them, just select the most interesting from the list. And I cannot stress this enough, provide the feedback. It's pretty much everyone that cares about the communities is really listening to what you say. It's always pretty hard for us to actually get the feedback. So even if you think you have like simple sentence to say, I enjoyed Converge, do it, post it somewhere, post it on Twitter, post it on Slack, because you can, I'm not one of the organizers, but I can tell you organizers love to get feedback, at least the good organizers, and Converge is very well organized. So any ideas that you have, any you didn't like, make sure that we can hear it, that we can see it. So give us the feedback. I cannot stress this enough. Feedback from the field, and community is so important, and there is never enough feedback that we could get.
Cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, and
thanks a lot.
let's wrap up. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.